Hello everybody, welcome to another video here on Shoher Football. I'm your host Shoher, and we are going to take a look at the third round of the Besta Deildin, as well as the game from the 10th round that was pushed sooner because of European games that Vikingur is going to play in later down the year. So, we have a few things to talk about, some shocking results. So why wait? Let's dive straight into this. So first off, we have Vikingur versus Keflavik. This is the game that is from the 10th round, but it was played earlier because, like I said in the intro, because of Vikingur European games later down the season. So pretty straightforward here. Vikingur won this game, maybe a little bit too big compared to how Keflavik had been playing. But hey, if you don't have a defense that is good enough to face Vikingur, then yeah, this is gonna happen. And Keflavik, they're not that bad, as we're gonna come into later. But still, this was a pretty bad game for Keflavik. But then again, you couldn't really expect them to get much out of this because Vikingur they're the champions, the current champions, won both the league and the cup last year. So yeah, it's not surprising that they won this game. And I mean, I guess maybe it's not as surprising that they won it this big. So yeah, 4-1 victory, as you can see here. Vikingur scored all the 4 goals in the first half. And Keflavik, they didn't really do much until like the last minutes of the game. That's when they got the ball in the back of the net and managed to get 4-1. So hey, at least they scored the goal. So that's always a positive. That's always a positivity that they managed to score a goal. But yeah, not much to say about that. Let's move on. Let's move on to one of the biggest games in this round, Valur versus Káur. Now, this is a game between two teams that are predicted to be on the top 4. So, it was known that this was going to be a really tough battle. I did predict Káur victory, but Valur victory, I'm not that surprised by it because this was literally a game that could have gone either way. So yeah, Káur managed to get 1-0 ahead in the 18th minute, as you can see here. Kjartan Henry with a goal. Then Patrick Pedersen, a Danish player from Valur that has been here for a few years, and hey man, he just always scores goals. He's annoyingly good. He's annoyingly good. And then a bit of a drama in the 69th minute when Valur scored the second goal. Káur wanted a free kick before that, didn't get it. Their heads were not there, so Valur just took the opportunity, scored the winning goal. But the drama was not done yet, because Káur, they tried to get at least an equalizer. So in the 94th minute, a lot of stuff happened. And a fight broke loose. Well, maybe a mini fight. So yeah, the assistant manager for Valur, he got a red card. A defender called Gretar Snær, he got his second yellow, and therefore a red card. And there were some other cases that probably deserved a yellow card, but the referee decided against it. He thought that the yellow card on Guy Smith, which is the goalkeeper, and those 2 red cards, yeah, that's enough. That's enough for him to get control of the situation again. He thought, probably. I don't know. Although I don't know. Maybe he dismissed them. But yeah. In the end, no matter how much Káur Reykjavík tried, they just couldn't score an equalizer. So well done Valur. They won fair and square. And yeah, it's gonna suck a big time for Reykjavík to have lost Greta Snyder with a red card because he's a defender, pretty decent one, even though he's a little bit young. But yeah, it's gonna suck that he's gonna be not available in the next match because the next match for Reykjavík is kind of a big one as well, where KR is gonna fight another of the top four. KR is just going through the top four teams in the early stages of the season, which has a positive and a negative. The positive is for KR Reykjavík, that's then done with those teams. Everything else should be kind of easy peasy. The bad thing is they lost against Breiðablik, they lost against the Valur, so they're already quite a bit behind those two teams. And if they lose the next one as well, ooh, that's going to be a really tough season then for them. But more on that later. But yeah, this was a match that, I mean, this is your Manchester United versus Liverpool kind of match. You know it's going to be fighting. You know it's going to be a lot of decisions made that are by the referee that both teams are going to argue against and for and stuff like that. 2 red cards. It basically has everything you want from a big fight team. So yeah, with that said and done, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Westman Islands versus Leiknir Reykjavík. Now this is a little bit of a shock because beforehand I thought for sure that Leiknir was gonna win this one, but the Westman Islands, they pulled through. Their team that in the first round were looking kind of like almost exhausted after like 70 minutes or something like that. They managed to hold on and get a draw on their home ground, which is well done for Westman Islands because they are going to be in the bottom 4. And Leiknir Reykjavík, we thought that they were going to be around the mid-table finisher, so them getting a draw here, are they going to be pulled down into a relegation battle, or can they break away from it later down the line? I guess only time will tell. Andri Rúnar Bjarnason managed to score 1-0 in the 26th minute, while Eiður Aron was so unlucky to score an own goal and managed to give Leiknir the draw 1-1. And neither team managed to do anything after that. These were just kind of like 2 teams on the same level, which is a little bit worrisome for Leiknir Reykjavík because we predicted them to be around the mid-table finish, but are they going to be pulled down into a relegation fight? It kind of looks like it. But yeah, this game, it is a little bit of a shock that Westman Islands managed to get a draw out of this game, and who knows if they would have been able to clear this away in the 29th minute. I mean, not much happened in the second half, so maybe, just maybe, Westman Islands could have just pulled it home with a 1-0 victory and gotten 3 points instead of just 1. But hey, that's the fun about football. We always ask ourselves, what if questions, and yeah, that's one of them. But still, it's still a good point for Westman Islands, at least this early on. They have a point. That's more than one other team can say. But they have a point. They're on the table, and they can build on that in the games to come. Next up, we have Breiðablik versus Hafnarfjörður, or FH, however you want to pronounce this. Um, this game we expect it to be a little bit close because those two teams on paper should be kind of close to each other. But Isak Snær Thorvaldsson, he decided he did not want to make this a close call at all. He was the man of the match of this game, scored 2 goals here, one almost before the first half, and then the second one in the 72nd minute. And he even assisted, if I remember correctly, he even assisted this third goal. So yeah, he was definitely the man of the match from this game. And yeah, Breiðablik, they just owned this game. They had so many opportunities to score more goals, while Hafnarfjörður, they were struggling quite a bit. And it's gonna be a little bit of a worry for Hafnarfjörður if they don't start pulling down some results soon. Because they were hoping, and a lot of their fans and a lot of pundits, they thought that the Hafnarfjörður would challenge for, well, be there thereabouts around a title finish. I was not as convinced about that early on, but yeah, it's this is starting not as great for Hafnarfjörður as people would have hoped for and thought about them. And it was actually quite shocking about this game how easy Breiðablik had it against Hafnarfjörður. They were a little bit unlucky not to score more goals. Like I said earlier, Hafnarfjörður, they kind of never looked likely to do anything in this game, really. And yeah, they tried at the end to do some changes and stuff like that, but in the end, nothing came out of it. So yeah, not much else to say about that game. Moving on, we have KA, or Akureyri, versus Keflavik. And this is the game that I was talking about earlier from Víkingur versus Keflavik. This is kind of the game where Keflavik, they're going to bite themselves in the butt quite a bit. Because Akureyri managed to get to 1-0 ahead in the 42nd minute. Keflavik managed to make it a draw, and then get 2-1 ahead in the 68th minute. And at that point, after that second goal for Keflavik, it looked like Keflavik were just going to sail it home, 2-1 victory, possibly even 3-1, because at that point, they were likelier to score a goal rather than Akureyri to get anything out of it. Even after the changes that Akureyri did here in the 78th minute, at first, it just seemed like Keflavik were just going to sail it home and to be quite and to be kind of just, kind of comfortable with the first victory. But then the quality of the Akureyri team shined through, and this is why I predicted them to be in the top 4 fight, right? While a lot of other people predicted them to be in the 8th place. They have the quality to just nail it home in the last minutes of the game. 87th minute, 90th minute, 2 goals. Keflavik suddenly ahead. And some of it is because of like defensive errors from Keflavik, but they were also tired because they had to defend quite a lot, and they just couldn't hold it up for the whole 90 minutes that they needed to. Which is kind of a shame for Keflavik, but they can take a lot more positives out of this game rather than the Víkingur game because they scored 2 goals, and with a little bit more patience, with a little bit more tactical fiddling around and stuff like that, they could have probably won this game 2-1, or at the bare minimum, get a 2-2 draw out of this. Which would have been huge for Keflavik. And a real blow for Akureyri. But in the end result is that Akureyri won. And a lot of people predicted that, me included. But it was a lot closer than anyone had ever dreamed of. Especially given the start of Keflavik. They have not started this season that well, but if they can take this momentum into the next games that they are having, they can easily get a point here, a victory there, kind of take themselves a little bit out of the relegation zone. And yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to see how they're gonna come back from this. Moving on, we have Fram versus Ía, or Akranes. And given how Akranes started the season, and how Fram started the season, this was a little bit of a shocker, because everyone were thinking that Akranes was going to win this game. Fram had lost previous games significantly bad, while Akranes had, for example, won Víkingur, the current champions, in the last round. So yeah, a lot of people were expecting Akranes to win this game, but Fram, they decided to they managed to pull through in this game and get a draw out of this. And a draw from this game is huge for Fram, because at the beginning of the season, everyone were predicting that Fram and Akranes were going to be in the relegation battle. So those two teams are the teams that a lot of people are predicting to be around the relegation battle or even relegating. So Fram being able to get a draw out of this is huge for the future. When the league is gonna split up with the bottom half and the top half, they take the points they already have with them into that stage. So the more points that the relegation teams have, the better for the battle about the relegation. So getting a point out of this one is huge for Fram, and a little bit of a disappointment for Akranes. Although Akranes can say one thing that not a lot of other teams can, and that is they are still unbeaten. They have not lost a game yet. About the game itself, it was a 50-50 game. In the early stages of the game, Fram were a lot stronger, a lot better. They managed to score a goal in that period. In the later stages of the first half, that's when the tides turned, and Akranes were the better team. Managed to score the equalizer before halftime. Second half was a little bit of the same. Akranes were a little bit better in the first half, then Fram a little bit better in the second part of the second half. So yeah, a draw is probably a fair result, but both teams are probably gnawing their hands that they could have perhaps done a little bit better by using at least one of their opportunities that they had. Because both teams had a few opportunities to score more goals. So, I mean, at around to the 60th minute or something like that, some people were speculating that this was going to be a maybe 2-1 victory for one or the other, or even a 2-2 draw because of the chances that both teams got. But in the end, it's a 1-1 draw and a point for each. And after looking at it back, it was probably a fair result. But like I said, both teams had the opportunity to score the winning goal. They just didn't manage to pull it through. So yeah, good point for Fram. And they can probably build on that for later. And Akranes, they're still unbeaten. They can take that into later stages. Which brings us to the shocking of all games, Víkingur versus Stjarnan. This game went nuts. This game, I mean, I don't know where to begin with this one. So let's just start with the first goal. Nikolai Hansen, he managed to score it after 3 minutes. And the way that the defense of Stjarnan looked in this goal, people thought, oh wow, this is going to be one of those games where Víkingur is just going to steamroll through and win like 7-8-0 or something like that. But Stjarnan had other ideas. They had other ideas. Scoring 3 goals in the span of 10 minutes from 19th to 29th. And all of a sudden, it looked like Stjarnan were the team that was going to win this game like I don't know, 12-1 or something like that. But Víkingur defense came a little bit together and managed to score 1 goal before the halftime, maybe making it 3-2 in halftime. And just that as an end result, that would have still been a huge amount of goals in one game. But they were not done. Neither teams were done at that point. So, yeah. Not much happened until 65th minute. That's when Stjarnan managed to score another goal. Then Víkingur scored, and then Stjarnan again, then Víkingur again. Kind of like a ping pong game at that point. Went out and just 1 goal there, 1 goal there, 1 goal there, 1 goal there. And it's not often that you can see a person scoring 3 goals. Kristall Smáni, he scored he scored the 4th goal for Víkingur, the 3rd goal for Víkingur, and he scored the second goal for Víkingur, making it 3 goals in total, and he still lost. That's really unusual that a player in your team scores a hat-trick and the team doesn't win. Meanwhile, Emil Atlason, he also scored 3 goals. 1 in the 19th, 1 in the 29th, 1 in the 74th minute. He also assisted one of the other goals. I don't remember which one. And come to think about it, maybe Kristall Smáni assisted to this goal as well. I don't remember. But anyways, the fact that the Víkingur lost this game was shocking enough. The fact that Víkingur got 5 goals against them is another shock in itself. The fact that they scored 4 goals is not that much of a shock, but against Stjarnan, that's a shock as well, because for Stjarnan to win this game, that's a shock. And for Stjarnan to get 4 goals on them, that's another shock. Like, do these guys not know what defense is? I mean, I'm glad that they don't, because this is a fantastic game to watch. Even on once again, even if you know how the game is going to go, it's still a fun watch because the defense of both teams is non-existent. But man, do both teams need to focus a little bit on defense after this game. And take a look at how on earth did both teams get so many goals against them. Because, man, this game, if you can watch this game again, even if you know the results, I recommend doing that. This was, wow. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, you can see on the score itself, 4-5. Neither teams wanted to play defense, both wanted to play offense, and as a neutral in this game, man, is it fun to watch. Once again and again. So, not much else to say about this game. What does this say about the table? So the table says that Breiðablik are on top with 9 points because they have scored the most goals. Akureyri second also with 9 and Valur third also with 9 points. These are the 3 teams along with KR Reykjavik that people were predicting to be on the top 4. So those 3 teams being on the top already is not that much of a shocker. KR Reykjavik on the other hand, they need to start winning games if they want to be in the battle of winning the title, because it's not starting great for KR Reykjavik. They won the first match against Fram, lost against Breiðablik, and then lost against the Valur. I mean, to be fair, they lost against Breiðablik and Valur, which are the first and third team at the moment. All of those 3 teams, they're going to lose points. Are they going to lose 6 points though? That's another question. Probably. It's too early to tell. So, but KR Reykjavik, they really need to start winning games if they want to push themselves up. We have Stjarnan then in the 4th place with 7 points. And they're starting actually a little bit better than people had hoped. I mean, they started with a draw against Akranes, which is kind of a shocker. Well, it was kind of a shocker at the time, but given how both Stjarnan and Akranes have started, then maybe it's not as much of a shocker. Then they won against Leiknir Reykjavík, which was to be expected, but at the same time, a little bit strange to see Leiknir start this badly, especially losing on their home ground. Because last season, home ground for Leiknir Reykjavík was really strong, and as you can see here, they're not starting that strong. But yeah, well done for Stjarnan to win there, and then they won the famous Víkingur match 5-4, giving them 7 points in total. Scoring the most as well as Víkingur, and also getting 6 goals on them. Well, to be fair, 4 of them were against Víkingur, so I don't know what that tells you about their defense, but maybe this was just a one-off. But then again, getting 2 goals against Akureyri, that's not ideal. But if they can score 2 or more goals per game, which they are doing currently, then Stjarnan is gonna keep gaining a lot of points. And are they gonna be title challengers? I mean, they're only 2 points behind, so they could. I doubt it, but they could. They definitely could. Then we have Víkingur, which have played 4 games, so that kind of skews things a little bit. And they seems to be starting to be a yo-yo team. Win, loss, win, loss. So with that result, they probably win the next game and then lose the game after that, if this is to continue. And this is a little bit worrisome for Víkingur, because they lost against Akranes, which is a team that's supposed to be in the bottom half fighting for relegation. And then they lost this famous match against Stjarnan. So if they're gonna defend their title in the league, then they really need to start getting some streaks in, like winning three games in a row, something like that. Similar to what the top 3 teams have done already. They need to start doing that if they want to be a title contenders. If they don't find solutions on their problems in defense, then that's gonna mean that they are going to have a challenging season, to say the least. Akranes are actually starting really well, considering how everyone thought they were going to be. They did a draw against Stjarnan in the first game, which for Akranes is a fantastic result. Then they won Vikingur, which is also a fantastic result. And then they made a draw against Fram, which is probably the first result that is kind of a disappointment, and for at least for Akranes, because. But then again, they're unbeaten. They haven't lost a single game, as well as Stjarnan, Valur, Akureyri, and Breiðablik. So that is still a good thing for Akranes. And if they can keep this up, then they're going to be safe, probably around like 5th to 8th place, something like that. So with a little bit of luck and tactic and strategy and tactics and all of that, they can probably end in the top half, which for Akranes is going to be a huge. It's going to be huge for Akranes if they manage to finish in the top half. So the question becomes, who are they going to push down below them? And that's where we have KR Reykjavík. And they are not starting that great. They won the first game 4-1, lost 1-0 against Breiðablik, and then lost 2-1 against the Valur. And all three of these games have one thing in common for KR Reykjavík. They are really good in the first half, but in the second half something changes, so they just kind of their performance drops in the second half. I don't know why it happens, but something happens for KR Reykjavík that it just does. So the next game is probably going to be crucial for KR Reykjavík, because KR Reykjavík are in the next round are going to fight Akureyri, and if they don't win that game, that's going to be huge for Akureyri, Valur, and Breiðablik, but that's going to be a real shocker for KR Reykjavík. If they lose against Akureyri, that means that they are 9 points behind the top three, and I don't think the top three are going to lose 9 points, to be fair. But hey, it's a possibility. They are going to lose some points at some time. I mean, no team is going to go undefeated throughout the entire season. Although maybe Akranes could, if they play defensive and just pack their defense really well and rely on counterattacks, then maybe they could. But I don't see the other teams going throughout the season without losing at least one game. And Stjarnan, they're gonna lose a game as well if they're gonna allow 4 goals into the back of the net. So they're gonna lose some points as well. But are all of these teams gonna lose so many points that KR could catch up if they lose the next one as well? Unlikely. Hafnarfjörður, they're starting not as great as they wanted to. I mean, to be fair, the first game they lost against Vikingur, which is the current champions. So, I mean, it's a tight fight, that one. Nobody really could have predicted one way or the other with certainty. So it's not that much of a shocker that they lost that one. Then they won Fram 4-2, which it's kind of hinted that their defense wasn't as good as they had hoped, because Fram managed to score 2 goals in that game. But that probably also boosted Fram a little bit to get their draw in the third match. But yeah, it's still a victory for Hafnarfjörður, and we can't take anything away from them for that. But then they lost 3-0 against Breiðablik, which, I mean, people were expecting them to lose, but not this much. So they really have to get their defense together. And in fact, they just have to get everything together in order to do something this season. If they don't want to fall too far behind, they're in a similar position as KR Reykjavík at this point. If they want to go in the top fight and being considered as a titled contender, like a lot of people think they are, then they really need to start winning some games, as well as KR Reykjavík. And they need to do that soon, rather than later. Then we have Westman Islands. People were predicting them to be around the relegation area, so it's not that much of a shocker that they are here. This draw here against Leiknir Reykjavík, that's huge for them. Because that gives them a point on the leaderboard, and given how tight this pack here is at the moment, then yeah, this could down the line be, maybe they can use that as a boost for the future, or maybe it's just a fluke and they will start losing again. But yeah, they lost the first game against the Valur, then they lost against the Akureyri, and to be fair, losing against those two teams, you can't expect a team that is fighting for relegation to do much in those games. But yeah, this draw against Leiknir Reykjavík, that gives them at least a little bit of a hope that they can do something. And for Leiknir Reykjavík, a lot of people were expecting them to be around mid-table finish, and I even went so far to predict that they were going to be the team to kind of be the surprise team this season. But their start is not that great. They don't start winning games as well. They're going to be dragged into the relegation zone real fast. It's still only 3 games in, so a lot can change. A lot can change for any of these teams. But yeah, it's starting okay for Westman Islands and Fram especially. Leiknir maybe a little bit less than ideal, but okay for Westman Islands, Fram. Akraness are starting real good. Keflavík on the other hand, oh boy, they are in trouble. They are in deep trouble because they have, just like Víkingur, they have played 4 games and they have lost them all. And they lost 4-1 against Breiðablik, 1-0 against Valur, then 4-1 against Víkingur, and Akureyri 3-2. To be fair to Keflavík, they have lost against Breiðablik, Akureyri, Valur, and Víkingur. Those are the games that they have lost. So to be fair to Keflavík, they have lost games that nobody expected them to win. But it's still, they have 12 games scored against them in those 4 games, making an average of 3 per game, which is quite a lot. Although, to their credit, they have also scored 4 goals. So one each game. So moving forwards, if they can pack down their defenses enough to hold everyone off, and then maybe score 1 goal and something like that, then yeah, they can start getting some points here and there and stuff like that. But they really need to get their stuff together, especially now that their top teams are kind of over. Yeah, that's when they need to start doing something. So how is round 4 going to look like? So how is the 4th round going to look like? Well, here we can see that. We have Hafnarfjörður versus Valur. And given how Hafnarfjörður is starting, it's not starting well for Hafnarfjörður. I'm sorry for Hafnarfjörður, but I just do not see how they're going to win against the Valur. Valur is probably going to win this game like 2-1, maybe 3-1. Because Valur, their current form at the moment is just too strong that I just don't see them losing this game. The defense of Hafnarfjörður is really weak. So Valur is probably going to exploit that quite a bit. So yeah, that's why I'm guessing that this is going to be a no-brainer. Valur victory, easy peasy. Next up, we have Akraness against Breiðablik. And this, I mean, to be fair for Akraness, they won on their home ground against Víkingur, where nobody expected them to win. With that being said, Breiðablik should win this quite easily. They should win this like maybe 3-0, 3-1, something like that. If Akra's defense can hold off, especially in the first half, then maybe they can get something out of it. But I'm not expecting much out of this match. On the other hand, Keflavik versus Westman Islands. This is a game that both teams need to win. This is like a lot of people call a 6 points game. The winner of this game, they're going to be in a really good shape going forward. And this is a crucial game for both of them. These are two teams that are currently around the relegation zone. Keflavik without a point, EPVAF with 1 point. And Keflavik really needs a minimum of a draw here, but preferably they need a victory here. Just to kind of jump up and get some momentum for them going forward to be fair, in the future, avoid relegation. They need to start getting some points in. And this is the game for Keflavik to get that. Westman Islands, on the other hand, they also need to use the momentum they had from the draw last game to kind of push on and get a victory here to really split themselves up from the relegation zone. Can they do it on the other hand? I don't know, it depends on their fitness. Can they last 90 minutes chasing a team that is on the same caliber, well, on the same level as they are? Maybe. But because this is on Keflavik's home soil, I'm predicting a victory for Keflavik. It's probably going to be the typical 2-1 victory, something like that. But I would also say that this one is the most likeliest to go into a draw. And then we have KR Reykjavik versus KA or Akureyri. This is another big game. It starts at the same time as Keflavik versus EPVAF, which for me personally is a shame because they really should have tried to put this on either different dates or different times, at least something. But yeah, it is what it is. We don't have much to say in it. This is going to be a big game for sure. KR, they really need to win this game if they want to be taken seriously in a title contender. And Akureyri, they can really leave KR behind by winning this game and start strong in their title race. So both of these teams, they kind of need victory here because we are predicting Breiðablik and Valur to win easily in their games. So yeah, if they don't want to get drawn too far behind, they really need to win this game as well. But it is against KR Reykjavik, and this is a game for KR Reykjavik to show that they actually mean it, that they want to be in a title challenge. This is a game that they have to win. How is this going to go? Something inside me wants to say that Akureyri is going to win, but KR is my team, so 2-2 draw. I mean, 2-2 draw is going to be bad for both teams in hindsight, but I just don't know where I have those two teams. Akureyri, they showed against the Keflavik that they struggled quite a bit until the 87th minute. KR Reykjavik, they have shown in all of their matches so far that if Akureyri can hold up for the first half, then second half should be easy for them. So yeah, I really don't know where I have those two teams. So that's why I'm predicting a draw 2-2, which is going to be bad for both teams, to be honest. Stjarnan Fram. This is a game where Stjarnan should win this. Let's just be completely honest. But on the other hand, Stjarnan have also shown that their defense is not like, the defense is not that great. But Fram have also shown that they can score goals if they need it. But I think for Fram, this game is going to be a little bit too much for them. So it should be comfortable victory for Stjarnan. Maybe like 3-1, 4-2, something like that. Stjarnan has shown us that they love scoring goals. And they don't care that much about their defense. So if their offense is good enough to score more goals than the defense leaks, then they're just happy with that. Which is why I'm probably going to go with 4-2 in this match. 4 goals for Stjarnan, 2 for Fram. Fram scoring 2 goals is going to be a boost for Fram going forward, but they really need to start winning some games. But this is not it. Then we have a game that I don't know how to predict them. Leiknir Reykjavík versus Víkingur. Víkingur have played 4 games where they won, and then lost. So with that pattern, they should win this game. But at the same time, it's against Leiknir Reykjavík that are desperate for a win. And they're on their home ground, facing the current champions. They're going to give everything into this game because everyone wants to win the current champions. It's a fact. Everyone in the world, everyone wants to try and win them. So they're going to show up in this game and be prepared. Is it going to be enough for Leiknir to get a victory? Something inside me tells me no. Something tells me that Víkingur are going to pull ahead and win this game. But it's probably going to be a close game as well. Probably going to be like a 3-2 victory, something like that. So, that's it for this video. It's been going on for way too long anyways. It's a little bit longer than usual, but then again, we had a few things to discuss. For example, Víkingur versus Stjarnan. What on earth happened in that game? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.